Then what is it? Is it, Bledsoe has a hard date, by the way.
I'll tell you privately, but I would really think about if you want to put this in your show. For real.
There's certainly something going to happen in 2027, and I don't know what it is.
The trajectory of this object is extremely unusual, fine-tuned. It lies in the plane of the orbits of the planets around the sun.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Bureau. My name is Sid, and this is the 2027 prediction. Or the 2027 prophecy. Or the 2027 conspiracy. Name it what you will. But this number keeps popping up everywhere. For the past few days, I have been seeing the number 2027 popping up all over my newsfeed. All over my social media. Facebook, X, YouTube, you name it. So I decided to dig a little bit deeper into this mysterious number. And what I found was quite surprising. So everything started a couple of days ago. I woke up in the morning, I took my phone, I opened YouTube, and the first thing that I saw was the 2027 number. All over. 2027 this, 2027 that. So at first I thought nothing of it, really. I just put it into the back of my mind. But then it kept bothering me. And so I decided to dig a little bit deeper. What I found was quite something. I came across three different interviews with three different people, all pointing to the exact same year, the exact same date, 2027. The first interview I came across is with Luis Elizondo. If you're not familiar with Luis Elizondo, he is was basically the person in charge of the Pentagon's UFO program called AATIP. Now, Luis Elizondo is not just somebody, he is someone with a lot of credentials and someone who has been in the room, has seen the files, and he knows exactly what he is talking about. The second interview I came across was with Jeremy Corbell. And again, if you don't know Jeremy Corbell, he is a filmmaker and also a leaker who leaked the video of the Tic Tac UFO and other related images and videos. Now, Jeremy Corbell is very known in the UFO community, as well as Luis Elizondo, of course, and these are two people that have a lot of experience and know exactly what they're talking about. And then the third interview I came across was with Ross Coulthart. Now, Ross Coulthart is a very known journalist and investigative journalist that is also very well known in the UFO community. Now, Ross is someone who has a lot of connections and is very well versed in the topic of UFOs, specifically when it comes down to uncovering government secrets in regards to UFO cover-ups. What popped out in these three interviews to me was that all of them were talking about the exact same date. For exception of Ross Coulthart, he stretched it a little bit out to 2032. But we're gonna be watching all these interviews, and then we're gonna circle back a little bit after each one. And then the final bit we're gonna be watching is an interview with Avi Loeb. Now, Avi Loeb, if you don't know him, he is an astrophysicist from the University of Harvard. Now, he is also very well known for suggesting that the comet Oumuamua might have been, or is, or might be, a alien craft. Let that sink in for a moment. Now, let's go ahead and watch the first interview with Luis Elizondo.
Then what is it? Is it, Bledsoe has a hard date, by the way. He says Easter Sunday 2026 is like his date. I've heard people say 2025 is when we begin this, whatever. And like it's obviously the goalpost is going to shift depending on what's been said. Recently, Jeremy Corbell in his special, in his 3-part special, at the end of it said that the government was intending on having some mass sighting or like a giant mothership come in and that, this is going to happen. And then 2027's been thrown around. Can you, for everyone's sanity,
yeah, sure,
shed a little bit of light on this just so we can stop being paranoid, or we can start, being paranoid?
Let me see if I can thread the needle on this.
Sure. Take your time.
I know a lot of people, this is nothing new. There's entire religions that plan for doomsday, right? The end of the world's coming. Then you have, then it's Y2K, and then, it's the end of the Aztec calendar, right? And, now, there is some speculation, and I won't say specifics, that there may be something in later on. But the problem is I wouldn't go to the bank with it. And what the specifics are, because it's first of all, it's hearsay. And it's also yes, there was an official effort by some people in the government to actually look at this data, and there were some products produced. That's a fact. I won't go into more detail than that, but it wasn't 2027.
Okay.
And it was based upon certain observations. And again, I'm very careful because what I don't want to do is people are going to take this, they're going to hang on to these words and say, Lou said something's coming. No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that there were some people who were anticipating something happening. And it was officially considered by some people based upon certain things. And a product was written. Anything beyond that, I don't want to discuss, because, I think what happens is people take that and they take it to the bank.
Sure.
And that's very dangerous.
You don't want to give any credence to something that could be untrue.
Right. I mean, look, anything can happen, right? A tornado could hit your studio in 10 minutes from now. It could. It probably won't, but it could, right? So we have to be very careful. There's no such thing as absolutes.
But it's when you say something was observed that people's ears tend to perk up.
Yeah. I mean, I can't go into more detail than that, because first of all, I didn't collect the data. I wasn't part of that effort. And thirdly, that's not really for me to discuss, but I don't think people need to be, Panic at the Disco and, oh my God, we've been down this road many times before. Let's stop speculating. Let's stick to what we know. And if it turns out that there's a revelation based upon of us all working together on this, and fine, maybe it is what it is. But we need to make sure we don't do ourselves the injustice by predicting and predicating things. I think that's a dangerous move. And I think unless the government comes out and says something, hey, you need to pay attention to this, then we probably should focus on other things.
I mean, and most people would probably agree with me, but if the government did say that, we might be questioning why they said that.
Right, sure.
And that leads me to another question. Do you rule out the idea that you might be being used to further some type of governmental agenda?
Always. You have to consider that.
Yeah.
I don't think I have rocked the boat sufficiently that, and I've made decisions that, if that was the case, I don't think they would have anticipated. So it probably made their life very, very difficult. If I was supposed to be on some sort of agenda, I think I probably strayed from that agenda a long time ago.
But what if this I say 2027, but what if this future revelation is something like that?
Then it happens.
That you're not immune to that, is what you're saying. Is that like that might be? Yeah.
Sure. Look, you don't know what you don't know, right?
That's right.
How do you know what you don't know? So is it possible there's some sort of master scheme there to manipulate Lou Elizondo and a few other insiders to get our message across? It is, but I'm also familiar with those techniques, and I think I would be able to see at least one telltale sign. No one's that good where you can keep the secret forever.
What stuck out to me in this interview was that Chris Ramsey, the interviewer who is interviewing Luis Elizondo, he has heard from other sources and other people that 2025 might be the beginning of something. We don't know what that is. Now, the second point that stuck out to me was that Luis Elizondo didn't deny that 2027 was an important date, but he also didn't want to talk much about it because he is a person who chooses very carefully his words when it comes down to talking about these type of things, because he does not want to spread misinformation. Right now, it feels like he knows something, but he's just giving us some breadcrumbs here and there. Let's go ahead and watch the second interview, which is with Jeremy Corbell.
Your government now wants you to know one truth, and that truth is that UFOs are real. They've already told you. Sometimes when you want somebody to know a truth, it's so you can set them up to believe a lie, and that's coming. I have zero doubt that lie is coming.
What is the lie?
Specifically, you want me to say it right now, for real? Real? On camera? To be put in the show?
Yes.
Okay. Problem with that. If we tell the lie before it's told, they can adapt. That wouldn't be wise. I'll tell you privately, but I would really think about if you want to put this in your show. For real. That's a real thing, I'm telling you. So will you think about it before putting it in your show?
Absolutely.
Okay. So UFOs are real, and they've been here a long time, and that's the truth. But the lie is coming. All indications, like all of them, is that that lie is going to be that there is a craft slowly making its way to us here on Earth. And that is the lie they're going to want you to believe. It's nuanced, how they explain that, the nature of that threat. But that 100% is the lie you are going to be told. You even got a date. People have been whispering a date for a long time now. I know where that lie comes from. I know specifically what document from the 70s initiated the idea of that lie. A classified document. That is the lie you will be told. You're going to be told that there is a craft on its way to Earth. That's the lie. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I sent you 2 texts today with a year. Not from me. Nope. I'm not going to propagate that lie. I'm not going to be part of it. Not going to say it to the camera. Everybody knows. Just start paying attention. And they'll change the date, especially if they see this. Things will change. Because maybe I'm trustworthy. Maybe I'm worthy of your trust. Maybe I've told you the truth the whole way through it. Now you can verify it. If that's the case, then I'm fucking dangerous. You've been told the truth about UFOs for a long time now. It's been pretty orchestrated. It's been pretty clear. And it's using people that are telling the truth and want to tell the truth. Ultimately, they want you to know something. They want you to know UFOs are real. Thank God we're finally there. We're all there now. They want you to know the truth. But why they want you to know that truth now? I hope I'm wrong, but it's terrifying. Think about it. Maybe it's good to get ahead of it. Call it out now before they do it. I'll be called crazy. That's okay.
All right, so that was the interview with Jeremy Corbell. Now, one point that stuck out to me in this interview was that Jeremy Corbell, is mentioning that a lie is coming. A lie about a spaceship or a mothership is coming, and it is arriving into our solar system, and, something big is going to happen. Now, whether that is actually a lie that the government is preparing or the world leaders, I don't know. But he is making it very clear that there is a lie coming and he is not going to be part of it spreading that lie. So it seems like he knows quite a bit about 2027, but he is also not mentioning much more than that. So now that's two voices pointing at the same date. But it gets better, because now we're going to watch Ross Coulthart's interview.
That leads me to ask, there's been so much discussion of this date, 2027, and where the source of the information comes from, we don't know. But there have been some prominent spokespeople who have been involved with the UFO topic that have spoken about this date. Do you know if there's any validity to that source of that information? And if so, what is your interpretation of that date, if it means anything?
There's certainly something going to happen in 2027, and I don't know what it is.
Okay.
I've also heard 2034, and I've also heard other dates, much later. But depends who you talk to. Some people say it's a pole reversal. Some people say it's an asteroid hitting the planet. Some people say it's AI reaching quantum, and then all of a sudden we lose the capacity to have control of our own computer systems. I have no idea. What I am aware of is that everybody's telling me we're on borrowed time. And I cannot begin to emphasize how serious a look I get when I say to people who are confiding in me, what's the timescale on this? And they're urging me to be urgent. They're saying to me, people need the right to know this. They have a right to know this. And I'm going, well, what are we talking about? And I feel like shaking these people and saying, for God's sake, just bloody tell me. And they are all constrained by their national security oaths. They want the public to know this. And this is why the President Trump, has a unique ability to literally flick a switch and force this to be revealed. And look, that might still happen. You've got Tulsi Gabbard as DNI, Director of National Intelligence. You've got Nash Patel at the FBI. You've got John Ratcliffe at the CIA. Three people who have all, prior to coming into government, expressed strong interest and support for UAP disclosure. Well, let's hold their feet to the fire and see what they're prepared to reveal.
Now, Ross Coulthart isn't just nobody, right? He is a investigative journalist that has uncovered or uncovers or digs deep into UFO crash sites and whistleblowers and retrievals. So this is someone who has a lot of contacts and sources that provide him information. Now that's three credible voices, same time frame. All of them talking about 2027 and that something is coming. But, ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't end here, because now we're going to be watching a clip extracted from a newsfeed from an interview with Avi Loeb. Now, Avi Loeb, as I mentioned at the beginning, he is an astrophysicist from the University of Harvard and is also the guy who suggested that the Oumuamua comet might have been an alien artifact. Anyways, let's go ahead and watch this clip and then we'll circle back.
Avi Loeb is a theoretical physicist and professor at Harvard University. I'm thrilled to have him back on the program. Good to see you again. Okay, so for everybody who doesn't know, this is incredibly rare. It's a third known interstellar object ever detected. Why? Why is that so rare? I mean, why do we have so few of them?
Well, thanks for having me. They are difficult to spot. There aren't many that are passing through the solar system, but this one is quite unusual. It's relatively bright, meaning that it has, if it's a solid object, has a diameter of 20 kilometers. That's bigger than Manhattan Island. And there isn't enough material in rocks in interstellar space to give us such a giant rock once per decade. That's the duration of the survey of the sky. We expect once per 10,000 years such a giant rock. And so the question is, what is it? Now, people argue that it must be a comet, but for a comet, you usually see a cometary tail trailing behind it. In this case, the deepest image that we had with the Hubble Space Telescope revealed that it has glow in front of it, not behind it. And then the trajectory of this object is extremely unusual, fine-tuned. It lies in the plane of the orbits of the planets around the sun to within 5 degrees. The chance for that happening at random is 1 in 500. And then it comes at a very special time when it passes close to Mars, Venus, and Jupiter. The chance of that happening for this object to pass so close to these as they move around the sun is 1 in 20,000. And when it gets closest to the sun, the Earth would be on the opposite side, so we can't observe it. That could be on purpose if it wants to do some maneuver, taking advantage of the sun's gravity or sending probes to the inner planets. So it looks quite unusual. It came from a direction where there are lots of stars in the sky. That's why we had a hard time identifying it. The question is it technological?
Well, it could be. Or is it possible it is a comet and the tail, you might not see it right now, but the closer it gets, you might see the tail. You might then say, oh, it is a comet. That's a possibility too?
It is a possibility, but we don't see any trace of gas around it, no fingerprints of molecules or atoms. So the question is, does it really look like a comet? And of course, as it gets closer to the sun, it will warm up and we should be able to see clearer signatures if it is a comet. I have a scale that I invented for the purpose of this object, where 0 would be a natural object and 10 would be a definitely technological object. I give it a 4 right now.
Okay.
And within the coming months, we might realize that it's actually a 0 if it looks like it's a natural object, or a 10. If it's a 10, then the question is, what do we do about it? And it comes closest to the sun on the 29th of October. It may well be that if we realize it's technological, the stock market will crash because there will be a huge uncertainty.
What do we do? Okay, that's the question. First of all, A, what do you do to find out what it is? And B, if it is what you think, what do we do?
Right. So the response has to depend on its properties and its intent. What is it doing as it comes closer to us? And it's just like having a visitor in your backyard. You can't decide about the policy for all visitors. It really depends on the intent of the visitor, and it's just next door. So it's not like getting a radio signal from a star that is thousands of light years away, where we would have plenty of time to decide how to respond. And I believe that we need an international organization that will make policy decisions about such an object. We are worried about existential threats from artificial intelligence, from global climate change, from an asteroid impact, but we never discuss alien technology.
No, I mean this is now taken it to a different level. I don't really know what to say other than perhaps. I mean, we've spoken before. You've sold me on the fact we need to study this, and using what we have up there to potentially study this before it actually arrives or as it arrives. You make a compelling case, sir. I don't know what more to make of it than that, but we'll keep a careful eye on it, Mr. Loeb.
Exactly, and every few months now in the future, the Rubin telescope will find a new interstellar object. I think we should do the same for all.
All right. Now that you've seen this interview with Avi Loeb, there's a couple of points that are very interesting to me. Point number 1. Well, first of all, let's talk about 3i Atlas, because this is where my mind made a click and said, wait a minute, what if 3i Atlas is the beginning of what might happen in 2027? Make of it what you will. I am just pointing this out. In the first interview, Chris mentioned that some people are suggesting that 2025 is the beginning. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't know, 3i Atlas entered our solar system on July 1st, 2025. Avi Loeb has made a scale called the Loeb scale, where a object sitting at 0 is considered as a natural object, and an object sitting at the scale of 10 is considered definitely alien technology. And he is mentioning that 3i Atlas is not sitting at 0, but at a scale of 4, might suggest that 3i Atlas could be some sort of alien technology. But it does not end here, ladies and gentlemen. It gets even more interesting. Because what if I tell you that the whole buzz about 2027 and aliens, well, what if it's actually not about aliens? What if it's about AI? So then, ladies and gentlemen, what is the truth? Well, the truth is, we don't know. Those 2027 mean the year where aliens will arrive and everything will change? Or will it be the year where AI becomes self-aware and we will realize that we have lost control over our own creation? I guess the time will tell, but the last one doesn't seem a far-fetched reality. In fact, it seems a very big possibility at the rate we're going. Thanks so much for watching, and I see you in the next one. Bye-bye.